Praise the Lord and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a wild, incredibly compelling personal story straight out of Genesis 29. Now, I want you to think for a second. Have you ever relocated for a brand new job, only to feel like you were getting completely scammed by a boss who just kept moving the goalposts? Or maybe you found yourself trying to navigate some truly intense, messy family drama. Well, if any of that hits home, you are going to deeply relate to the text we're unpacking today. Yes, it's an ancient story, but the workplace and relational dynamics we're going to see are literally as modern as it gets.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Arrival at the well, 2. A labor of love, 3. The wedding night deception, 4. 14 years for Rachel, 5. Leah's struggle and sons, and finally, 6. 3 steps for today. Let's jump right in.
Part 1. Arrival at the well. Imagine packing up your life and traveling hundreds of miles for a fresh start, only to immediately hit a massive physical roadblock. Jacob arrives, and he encounters this heavy stone covering a well. Think of it kind of like a neighborhood community lockbox. The local shepherds tell Jacob, hey, we can't water the sheep until all the flocks are gathered, because honestly, it requires a whole team to move this thing. But then, right on cue, his cousin Rachel approaches. And seeing her, Jacob suddenly finds this superhuman strength, single-handedly rolling that massive stone away. I mean, it is a stunning display of pure adrenaline. He kisses Rachel, he weeps aloud, and just like that, the stage is set. Part 2. A labor of love. So Jacob is quickly welcomed into his uncle Laban's home. But after just 1 month, this warm family visit turns into a high-stakes workplace negotiation. That uncle-nephew dynamic shifts permanently to employer-employee. When Laban asks what his wages should be, the text draws a stark contrast for us. The older daughter, Leah, had weak or delicate eyes, but the younger daughter, Rachel, had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Jacob is completely hooked. He doesn't ask for a 401k, he doesn't ask for land or money, he negotiates strictly for love. Jacob signs what he thinks is a totally straightforward employment contract, offering 7 grueling years of manual labor just for the right to marry Rachel. Laban agrees, basically saying, sure, it's better to give her to you than some random guy. But I really want you to look at the emotional core of this arrangement. The text tells us that Jacob served those 7 years, but they seem like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Have you ever been so incredibly motivated by a goal or by love that the absolute hardest work just flew by in the blink of an eye? That is exactly Jacob right here. Which brings us to part 3, the wedding night deception. So the initial 7-year contract is finally up. Jacob goes to Laban and essentially says, give me my wife, my time is completed. But his boss is about to execute an absolute masterclass in workplace trickery. Under the cover of total darkness, and probably a very heavy bridal veil, Laban swaps the sisters. He even gives his servant Zilpah to Leah as an attendant to really sell the illusion. Jacob goes to sleep thinking he is finally with the woman of his dreams, only to wake up to the ultimate bait-and-switch scam. The text simply and brutally says, when morning came, there was Leah. Part 4, 14 years for Rachel. You can imagine how this builds into an explosive morning-after confrontation. Jacob rightfully storms in and demands to know why his years of loyalty were repaid with straight-up deceit. But instead of apologizing, Laban hits him with some slick corporate double talk. He justifies the fraud by pointing to this hidden clause in an unwritten company handbook, basically saying, oh, actually, it's not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. And then Laban ruthlessly leverages Jacob's love to lock him into a completely new, incredibly demanding agreement, another 7 years of work. I mean, just look at the sheer weight of Jacob's commitment visually mapped out here. It snowballs from what was just supposed to be a 1-month unpaid family stay into 7 years of hard labor, followed by a tense 1-week right-away, plunging directly into an additional 7 years of bound labor. He literally works a staggering 14-year contract just to be with the woman he originally bargained for. And the crazy part? Jacob does it because his love for Rachel is just that unshakable. Part 5. Leah's struggle and sons. Now, while Jacob eventually secures Rachel, there is immense collateral damage we have to talk about. Leah finds herself completely trapped in a marriage where she is entirely unloved, but her emotional journey of finding self-worth in a deeply toxic situation is profound. You can track it right here through the names of her sons. She names her first son Reuben, meaning see, a son, desperately hoping her husband will finally love her. Then Simeon, hoping to be heard. Then Levi, hoping for some kind of attachment. But look at this powerful, game-changing shift with her 4th son, Judah. She finally stops trying to win her husband's impossible affection and simply says, "This time I will praise the Lord." She finds independent gratitude and joy completely separate from her circumstances. Part 6. 3 Steps for Today. Look, we have all dealt with toxic workplaces, unfair contracts, or just really complicated family dynamics. So how do we actually apply this ancient text to our everyday lives? Well, here are 3 highly actionable steps. Number 1, honor your commitments even when the work feels incredibly heavy. Bring passion to your responsibilities, just as Jacob did. Number 2, navigate bad faith bait and switches with steadfast patience. Jacob had every single right to just walk away, but he stayed the course. And number 3, just like Leah, intentionally choose to find gratitude even in your absolute hardest season. When the human validation you're craving doesn't come, shift your focus upward. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take a hard look at your own difficult circumstances. Ask yourself, where can you find the strength to push through when life hands you a totally unfair bait and switch? Can you dig deep and find that inner Judah moment of praise, even when everything else feels wildly out of control? I really hope this deep dive into Genesis 29 has given you some powerful, fresh perspective today. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember to like, share, and subscribe.